Welcome back to Duelists of the Roses. So let's continue. Ooh, Pegasus. Lancashire.
We're going to Manchester.
Wow, so you're the famed Rose Duelist. I'm Pegasus Crawford, the champion of the Northlands, the noblest of Yorkists, and master of the, let me guess, Toon deck? Oh, Rose Crusaders, okay. Wait, I thought Set, whatever. He's the master of Rose Crusaders. I am also known to some as Thomas Stanley or Lord Stanley to my friends. Yeah, that's who he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be Thomas Stanley. Okay.
Yeah. Pegasus Crawford is my nickname.
Seto has told me much about you, dear duelist. Seto has taught me a thing or two about dueling. So come on, let's do. So Seto taught Pegasus how to duel in this particular era.
Remember, Seto is head of the clan, so checks out.
It is a bit weird to think the idea of Seto Kaiba teaching Pegasus how to play duel monsters.
Dramatic irony for the win.
Thomas Stanley, the first heir of Derby.
Alright, as you can probably guess, yes, half of Pegasus Field is Toon spaces. What does that mean? That means that you can only summon Toon monsters in those specific spaces or some shit. What this basically boils down to is, once again, just make sure you have a bigger stick than his stick. As long as this is like he summons Toon monsters, but they're not that powerful, you can relatively easily take this guy down with brute force, basically.
Again, this was a point in time where Toon monsters kind of sucked. In recent times, they did got decent support, both in terms of monsters and the back row, as in, magic and traps. But in the early stages, were rough as hell. This is also why Pegasus needed the relinquished ritual monster in his duels, in the anime, because otherwise his standard Toon deck had to go through loops in order to be effective, like toonifying the enemy monsters.
Alright, basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just stand here and just chip away at his life points, because as you can see, Pegasus is gonna take his sweet time to do much of anything, so...
All for the sake of strategy, dear Pedro boy.
Exactly, see? No, Joel, you have to be more flamboyant with your voice.
Well, I wasn't really trying to go for the Pegasus voice, but I guess I'll give it a credit. All part due to the strategy, Pedro boy.
There you go. And that actually sound like how the actors sounded in the later seasons.
And in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX.
Oh yeah, I forgot he was in that too.
Oh yeah, he's great in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX.
Oh sure, no, I love the actor who plays Pegasus because he's, again, much like Dan Green, I love his hamminess. But
again, imagine, in a world without 4Kids, we may have never truly gotten to appreciate the magnificence of Dan Green.
I understand what you're saying, Jova, but I can tell you that the top of my country is just fine without being excessively over the top, at least on my part.
Oh, that's nice, but Dan Green still, awesomeness,
Sorry, Teo, but I'm gonna... unlike you, Teo, I can even claim that, because the Portuguese dub of Yu-Gi-Oh! Was terrible.
Wait. Portugal actually got a dub of Yu-Gi-Oh?
Teo, sorry, Jova, you're forgetting that Yu-Gi-Oh! Was a worldwide phenomenon, right? It's just like...
True, yeah, but okay, I've heard of many dubs. I've never heard of...
or you imported the Brazilian one?
Well, we have played at times, so I might as well explain. There's a reason why you haven't heard of it, Jova. The Portuguese dub of Yu-Gi-Oh!, especially in the Duelist Kingdom season, is atrocious. I am not even kidding. There's some people over here...
As bad as the Dragon Ball Z Portuguese dub?
No. I'm going to immediately stop you right there. See, the thing about the Portuguese dub of Dragon Ball, Jova, that we have to put that in context. That dub was created back in the early 90s when Portuguese dubs were in their infancy, okay? And there's still a lot of good qualities and a lot of passion put into that dub, despite the unrefined nature of the production of the dub. So that dub at the very least has the excuse that it was a part of its time. By the time we got to Yu-Gi-Oh! We were in the early 2000s. By that time, Portuguese dubs have really stepped up their game. And here's the thing, Jova. Even though the Portuguese dub of of Dragon Ball was flawed. They got the names right, they got the terms right, they respected the dramatic moments by not inserting any jokes where they didn't belong, or anything. In the Portuguese dub of Yu-Gi-Oh! On the other hand, Jova, just to give an idea, they literally screw up the names of the cards all the time, much like they screw up the effects of the cards all the time. Just to give you an idea, there's a moment in the original 4Kids version of the duel between Joey and Keith. Bandit Keith, right, in Duelist Kingdom. There's a moment where he's about to use metal. He's about to play Zoa. Keith is about to play Zoa in defense mode, and I don't. And Yugi's like, I don't know. Zoa's attack points are much higher than the defense points, and then McCoy's like, oh, I get it. Since Zoa's attack points are much higher, it makes little sense to play it in defense mode. The only explanation is that he wants Joey to attack, and then they try to warn Joey not to attack, right? So, okay, makes sense, right? Here's how it went in the Portuguese dub, Jova. In the Portuguese dub, Bakura says, and I shit you not, since Zoa's attack power is much higher, it makes all sense to play it in defense mode. And I'm just sitting there going, wait, what? Basically, Jova, here's the reason for it. The reason is that he says little sense. However, somewhere along the line, the translators didn't understand what little sense means, I guess. So they just went perfect sense with it instead. I'm not kidding you, Joe, but to say what you want, the Portuguese, but at least the Portuguese dub of Dragon Ball was trying. That dub wasn't even fucking trying. I can tell you that.
I mean, hell, I just looked it up. The official Yu-Gi-Oh! YouTube account has at least one full episode of the European Portuguese dub.
Yeah, and guess what? The voice acting, trust me, Theo, unlike with your case, I don't know how it is, the voice acting in my dub is atrocious. It's terrible.
I can tell you that mine was it was one case where they tried to get people to sound close to the Japanese voice actors. Well, I can tell you that Yugi is it's kind of like a missing link between Dan Green and the original voice actor Yugi, so it's fine. Trust me,
Jova. Trust me, Dwebs. That first episode is terribly dubbed. It's very infamous over here for being terribly dubbed.
I don't remember if they kept all the puns and jokes from Porkies. They probably did, because compared to stuff like Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was one thing that we did got in, to be similar to the American version. Thank God, when it came instead to the GX, we did not do a gag dub, and instead, did things properly straight, fully straight, because otherwise I probably would have not liked it. But again, the end product was just, something that I really appreciate at the very least.
Sure.
I think they haven't, as far as I know, there hasn't been, I wouldn't call GX a full gag dub. But from what I understand, no series after that took that approach.
Yeah.
It probably was just an experiment more than anything,
See, the thing is...
It was basically Yu-Gi-Oh! Recess.
Yes, Pedro?
See, the thing about things is that, again, actually no, I'll wait till Jova comes back before I make my final point about it, just so I don't have to repeat myself. That's the thing too, like I've said too, like the voice act, just to give you an idea, remember that bit in the second episode too, where Mai is basically doing a game with Rex Raptor to try to take his room away from him? Okay. Remember that bit where she predicts, the first card is Shadow of Eyes, and he goes like, how did you do that, right? The 4Kids actor delivers that with gusto. How did you do that? It's not perfect delivery, but at least you can tell he's trying to sound surprised, right? It's not perfect, but at the very least there is trying. That's all I'm asking, right?
Yeah.
Here's how, and I'm not shitting you, here's how Portuguese Rex Raptor says it to you. How did you do that? I'm not kidding, he literally delivers it like that. I know, trust me, Dwips, this dub, our dub of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is terrible. It's laughably terrible.
I mean, it can't be worse than the Singapore one.
Well, congratulations, Portugal. You're better than the shitty Singapore dub that can barely speak English. Do you want a cookie?
Yeah, actually, I was gonna make a comparison to the uncut dub, but literally the only problem with that was overly literal. Well, okay, but there was also overly literal dialogue. But everything else, but all like the benefits of the 4Kids version, otherwise, were also in that one, plus the Japanese score.
Yeah. My country, we just dubbed the 4Kids episode, so our translation is based on the 4Kids dub.
Was it the same? Was it like that in Italy as well, to you?
No, we did our own, again, as it's custom with, with the anime and, TV series in general. We did our own version of the opening, which is alright. I heard and seen worse, but again, it's just a trend that I'm not particularly a fan of, because a lot of time these openings tend to be quote-unquote,
Is the...
Maybe we try to make it sound more like they're for, younger kids more than anything. Which, for some series, it was acceptable, let's say, the Smurfs cartoon, for example. But if you apply the same thought process to even stuff dedicated to, say, teens and late teens, you start to understand that there's kind of a problem with that.
Well, okay, was the translation based on the Japanese script, or...?
No, a completely original thing. I'm talking about the type of instrument used, the type of wording.
No, I get that, Tail.
The tone that it was used.
No, I get that, Tail. What I mean is the dialogue, was the translation of the dialogue based on the Japanese original script, or did they use the 4Kids dub?
Sorry, I thought you were saying just for the opening. For the actual episodes, no, it was basically the same as 4Kids, but I don't remember if they kept the puns or not. That's what I know.
Okay, then.
Because the music.
I'm guessing they kept the 4Kids music, probably.
Yeah, most definitely. It's only Digimon, the one that I distinctly remember where they kept the original score.
Same. I'm pretty. My country too. We didn't really keep the puns because they just don't work in Portuguese at all. So we just kind of went around them, It really is one of those cases where, trust me, like it's one of those cases where. Are you still there? You back, Jova, by the way? Okay, I guess I'll wait a bit more. Anyway, the point is, yeah, there you go. We beat Pegasus, so...
Hooray!
Yay!
And there was much rejoicing.
Yay! So, alright, Pen for War has been revealed, whatever, I don't care. Alright, let's get 3 more random cards that don't help me.
Well, the way you said yay, was that how people celebrated their victories in the Portuguese dub?
No, like, okay, let me put it this way, Dwebs, okay, let me put it this way, the guy who they got to voice Yugi, he's a fine choice. The problem is, he was getting, well, you must be joking, me? Lose? Never!
He looks pretty happy about it.
He's supposed to look angry, but yeah, the fact that they're claiming only half his face is a bit, oh dear, you just might be stronger than Seto. I really enjoyed that. I've learned a lot from you. In fact, you've done wonders for my... Wow, Pegasus is surprisingly nice in this game. Oh, by the way, I'm afraid I don't have any rose cards. Sorry, so basically
We wasted our time.
Fuck you. Fuck you, you stupid twat. However, he does open the... You still have to find him because he opens up this next opponent that actually does have a rose card.
In an island... close to Ireland, I guess?
Isle of Man. And there's Ishtar. Okay. So, okay, if I remember... Alright, so her... Unlike Pegasus, she has a very low deck capacity. Or cost, or whatever it's called in this game. I've actually forgot. I'm forgetting which if the GBA games is deck... I think it's deck capacity in the GBA games, and here it's deck cost, if I remember correctly. But it's the same basic concept, so whatever. They just changed the name. Yeah. So yeah, she has a much lower deck cost, meaning, once again, this is the other thing about this game that I don't care for. Like you constantly have to readjust your deck every single time you beat a new opponent because it has to be lower than the deck cost of that opponent. Meaning every single time you fight a new opponent, there you go, rebuild your entire deck pretty much from the ground up every single time. Meaning you can't really create a deck that is entirely your own and represents you. You have to basically create a deck catered to the whims of the game, and that's something that I don't really like, to be honest. It kind of goes against the whole purpose of a card game, you know? I understand that they didn't want us to, you know, complete...
just the one deck.
I understand that they didn't want us to just build a super powerful deck and whoop the floor with everybody. I understand, but there are better ways of smoothing out the difficulty curve than just handicapping the player like this. I don't know. I just feel like they could have come up with something better than this.
I think I get it. What you mean?
It's especially because it's annoying. It's annoying to always have to go back to the deck screen just to rebuild the entire thing again. You know, it does come across as like a way to try to expand the length of the game. Go on, Jova. Yes, Jova.
I don't think it's the worst, but who's Ishtar?
Well, you go ahead.
Amazing. I never thought you would reach the point where you could challenge me. Too bad it all has to end here.
Well, if it goes as well as your duel with Kyber, then...
Well, she doesn't have the Millennium Necklace, apparently, so...
Hey, look, now. To be fair, Kaiba completely went against her astral projections on that one, so...
All for the power of arbitrary skepticism.
Just to give you...
It paid off, didn't it?
Oh, by the way, Jova, just to give you a basic idea of how the acting is in my dub, just to give you an idea. Remember that bit in episode 2, where Mai is doing that game with Rex Raptor to take his room away from her in the ship, right? Okay, remember how when Mai guesses the first card correctly, and Rex is like, "How did you do that?" You know, there you go, simple. You know, he's surprised because she guessed it. Okay, simple delivery. Here's how the Portuguese actor delivers it. How did you do that? I'm not kidding. The delivery is so.
Oh my god.
Trust me, Jova. Okay, let me put it in the most simple way I can, Jova. The Portuguese dub of Dragon Ball, despite its flaws, is still very beloved. In my country, it's iconic. People still look upon it with incredible fondness. And the voice actors to this day are still approached and asked for autographs, and they really talk about how you made my childhood, thank you a lot. So that dub is beloved. The Yu-Gi-Oh dub is not beloved, Jova. The Yu-Gi-Oh dub is known in the Portuguese anime community as a joke to be laughed at. That's the thing.
Anyway, well, when I asked if it was bad, I didn't mean it as an insult to the Portuguese dub of Dragon Ball. It's just like you said, like. That dub is only technically bad in the sense that it was back when, you know, the art of dubbing over there was relatively new, and it was still a good, honest effort. And hey, it's meme-tastic to the point where even over here in the West, we do love how Vegeta refers to Goku as a white sperm whale.
See, the thing is, okay, let me explain that, might as well, since there's nothing going on. When they saw Kakarot in the script, they didn't know what that meant. They didn't, because see, the thing about the Portuguese dub is that they had a limited translation. See, and the actors have explained this various times over the years for the interviews, that they had incomplete translations. So a lot of times when the actors didn't have text to read, they would have to improvise. You know, so it was a dub that was very much produced in a very brute and very amateurish way, you know.
Oh boy.
Trust me, Jova, Portuguese dubs have come a long way since the early 90s, I assure you. That being said, Jova, the actors always were incredibly passionate about their roles. They always tried their best. In a lot of scenes, like, even though there's a lot of jokes in the Portuguese dub, they still made sure to keep it down in the dramatic scenes, and the voice actors are still incredibly beloved. They're incredible. It's one of those cases where we understand why the dub is the way it is. There's a reason for it. The Yu-Gi-Oh dub doesn't have that excuse. The Yu-Gi-Oh dub is just plain terrible because the people who made it simply made a bad job, and a lot of times you can tell they don't even care to make a good job because there's so much laziness in the delivery. The script writing is like sometimes they even have flat out grammatical errors. It's not even a matter of getting the cards wrong. They sometimes even have grammatical errors. For example, let me explain. You know what the most egregious error of that dub is over here? That people meme about it to this day on Portuguese social medias. Remember that bit from season 2 where they're watching the duel between Rex Raptor and Weevil Underwood?
Yes.
Joey turns to Yugi and says, Joey, are these guys any good? And then Yugi says, you bet, they're very good. Here's how that exchange comes off in the Portuguese dub. Yugi, these guys suck. You bet, they're tough as nails. Wait, do they suck or do they?
Wait, what?
I know, right?
That is literally a contradiction in sentence there.
That's when you can tell, Joe, that they weren't even trying. That's when you can tell. At the very least, the people who made the Dragon Ball dub were trying. These guys are just... Oh, God.
I'm curious, is there like a special story behind why that dub is?
No.
Like, what?
No, that's unlike the Portuguese dub of Dragon Ball. This dub is not really beloved, so as a result, there's not really any... The actors themselves don't really talk about because most people just laugh at the dub and don't even take 2 looks at. It's a dub that's just seen as a joke to be laughed at and terrible. I mean, it's still used because on Portuguese Netflix they still use that dub. It's not like the series has ever been redubbed, unfortunately, but because at this point I guess Konami doesn't care probably. I mean, like they just said, they even put the Portuguese episodes on the official YouTube Yu-Gi-Oh channel, so they don't seem to care that dub is terrible. So whatever, we're stuck with this dub apparently.
I guess it's literally just a case where the company didn't give a crap.
No, they didn't. The fact, Jova, that contradiction of sentences, if that's not evidence that they don't give a fuck, I don't know what is.
Like, don't get me wrong, look, I have seen some pretty bad dubs in all sorts of different languages here, but I've never seen one that cares so little that they literally leave in a blatant contradiction. Like, maybe a contradiction that's better hidden and maybe they missed, but
yeah.
No, not something as blatant as that.
It's abundantly clear that dub was produced in a hurry because nobody cared and they just wanted a quick paycheck. That's the basic gist of it. And so, Teo, that should explain to you, Teo, why I do appreciate the 4Kids dub, because at the very least the 4Kids dub was actually trying, unlike mine. So
I've said it before and I'll say it. I've said it before and I'll say it again. 4Kids is definitely the story of a fallen hero of sorts. I acknowledge that in the end they were crappy and they got the end that they deserved coming to them. However, credit where credit is due. 4Kids really did help step up pretty much so much as the idea of bringing anime out to the West here and there. And they were doing a pretty good job, before they started to go mad with power. Now, even in their earlier days, we did have some silly changes here and there which were weird, but it was nothing too egregious until we started getting to the really bad stuff by the time of One Piece. Like, I'll just say this, I feel like in the optimum timeline, 4Kids would have improved and maybe been less censorship ruling. In fact, we did see glimpses of that with them providing uncut versions of the Yu-Gi-Oh dub, complete with the guns and even swears. We all know how it ended with 4Kids, which is really a shame.
I'm not even kidding with you, Teo. Like, this first episode of the Portuguese dub that's on the official channel, I'm not kidding you, Teo. I could literally go through this entire episode with you and point out so many egregious errors that make no sense and just reek of laziness and we don't give a fuck. It's this episode, Teo, in Portuguese is a fucking trash fire. I'm not even kidding.
I gotta ask Pedro.
Go on.
Is this like that time where you showed me Tiana singing in the Portuguese dub, and even though it was in a different language, I could tell it was as bad as you told me?
Yeah, the voices are not great. Yeah, they're not. They're not great. The guy who got to play Yugi, he's fine. You can tell he's kind of trying to sound somewhat like Dan Green. He's nowhere near as good though. Although to his credit, with the script he was given and probably crap direction and rushed production, probably he still did the best he could. Because that actor has actually gone on to do much better things since then. And so that being said, Jova, there is one great thing about the Yu-Gi-Oh! Portuguese dub. There's a particular voice actor in my country that has debuted as Joey in that anime, and he has gone on to become one of the most beloved voice actors in my country. For example, he recently played Captain Underpants in the movie. And he's incredibly beloved. He's in Dragon Ball Super now, actually.
Oh, good for him.
And he was by far the best actor in that dub, and everybody, even back in the new, okay, at least the guy who's playing Joey, he's actually gives a fuck because he's a huge anime fan. He loves it. So fortunately, that guy did went on to be in better dubs, and he got the recognition he deserved. Unlike most of the other actors, for example, the woman who plays Taya is absolutely god awful. But anyway, let's move on.
Spin the slot machine and see what you won.
Great White, Penguin Knight, and Water Dragon Fairy. Okay.
Not bad.
I guess. Alright, moving on. So Ishtar. What do you think of that?
I mean, isn't that the last?
I'm not surprised, you know. I knew I was destined for defeat. I can live with that.
Then why didn't you just give me your fucking card then so we could spare time?
Because that's not how this thing is supposed to go, and you should know that.
Procedure.
Master, today's the day you promised to meet Henry. AKA Yugi, for those who forgot.
Yep. Oh wow, 2D art.
Mm-hmm. I wish there was more of it in the game, to be honest with you.
Don't think there was one for Seto's campaign either.
August 1485, Yugi, aka Yugi Tudor, lands at Milford Haven. Time to go to war?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The decisive battle.
Alright, let's go. Hurry!
Hey!
Hurry!
Hurry to where, exactly?
The
There!
convergence point.
There, in Leicester.
Oh, goody!
Bosworth.
See,
Alright, Richard Slysheen of York. Do you remember the voice he's supposed to have, too?
absolutely.
Alright.
Forget.
Go ahead, Teo. Bosworth. Oh, it's
in the
in...
next part, Bo.
Yeah, in the next... Okay, in the next part, everybody, we're going to fight Master Haitian... I mean, Richard whatever of York.
Jafar, British Jafar.
Yes. Tune in next time, everybody, for that. See you.
Ta-ta.